And three. Hey, what's up? This is Wilsford with Abysmal Hymns, and I have Reza Mills with me. And as promised, we're going to go over our top five most hated artists. Um, so this is different than the ones that we talked about earlier that we just tried to get into but couldn't. Although maybe there's one on mine that I tried to like and could not because all the reasons were there except for a lot of times it's the principle of who they are and what they are, particularly if they're very entrenched for me and like being a marketed product. Um, and that I guess some people are calling them industry plants that can certainly put a sour taste in my mouth. And then some of these people, it's the attitude they have um, all falls into place with
Yeah.
it, which, you can say, well, maybe that's not about the music, but I don't know. I think it is. Uh,
Yeah,
because music is about attitude. So,
sure.
um, yeah. And something, I think, in all of mine at least, impinges on their artistic integrity. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to this. Remember that ter those two terrible Christian Death albums, All the Love, All the Hate? Well,
Yeah.
this is definitely the latter. And it's really good fun. Yeah, of course we love to spread positivity and love, but sometimes it's just fun to vent. And it's coincidental that you mentioned attitude, actually, because my first choice is kind of related to that. So
All right. Well, why don't you kick it off?
kick it off. So, okay, we're going back to the Britpop days. It's Oasis. Um, I mean, I wasn't the biggest Britpop fan. I just thought it was really retrograde, 60s revivalist tosh, basically. But yeah, I could live with some of those bands. But Oasis to me seems so staggeringly arrogant about music that was so uh, middle of the road. I mean, it was just status quo pub rock. And their version of experimentation seemed to be just sticking a sitar in there occasionally. And to be that cocky and full of themselves, it was just amazing when the songs were really quite banal. They're a working class band from Manchester, so kind of my neck of the woods. And they were just ubiquitous. They were everywhere, and it kind of reflected on some of the people I knew around at that time. When they're at their biggest, the mid 90s, that is. And it kind of like it just left a really, as you say, sour taste in the mouth. Just the whole arrogance and the what they call lad culture over here. I suppose you would call it jock. And just, the beer swilling, the obsession with football, as in soccer. I'm not against people who are into that stuff, of course, but it was all part and parcel with Oasis. And the music was just so boring and just so middle of the road and drab. And I just never got how they were so lauded. I don't know how well they did in America. I gather that they are popular there, but maybe not quite to the same degree here. So, yeah, I'm afraid for that reason, that's my first choice.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that one. I mean, I don't listen to them at all. I never got the Beatles comparison they were getting because they don't have the harmonies, they don't have the uh, dynamics. You know, I know that we've had conversations about the Beatles in recent
Oh.
episodes, but I mean, you can't. There's in no stretch of the imagination can you say that Oasis is doing anything close to the dynamic stuff that the Beatles did once they got off the suits.
Yeah, I know. It's
Liam
amazing
Gallagher,
to
the
me.
Noel Gallagher guy, or whoever he is, their singer. He has
Liam,
yeah, he said some things about metal. So
he's ridiculous. And yeah, it again, it's just staggering to me that this band has just blew up the way that they did. Over what, And as you say, the Beatles, I might be hit and miss with them and a bit tired of them, but at least they experimented. At least they evolved and tried different things. Oasis never did that, really. It was just the same whiny, you know, boring, as I say, just very laddie pub rock. And I'm just, I suppose if you're the status quo meets a weak version of the Jam, then they're the band for you.
Right. And when it came to that sort of thing, I would always listen to like The Verve above
Yeah.
those guys. But
Sure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
Cool.
I get it. Well, my first one's going to be pretty predictable, but you have to take into consideration that this band is super huge and they've ripped off King Diamond to some extent. Um, but I could respect it more if they were like riffing off King Diamond, had like a little more ballsy sound.
Yeah.
But instead, what we have is something that there's a song called Love is Thicker Than Water by one of the Gibbs brothers. And it
Right.
always sounds like Ghost to me. So that's my pick is Ghost because they are marketed as a metal band, but just, I mean, the worst kind of pop that you can imagine because I mean, I guess it's retro. It's like trying to sound like pop from the 70s.
Yeah.
I would say Leo Sayer would go harder than Ghost. Uh,
Or even Cliff Richard,
yeah, I
it's
mean, I'll take Air Supply any day. They're,
there's an honesty with that band. They're not
yeah,
pretending to be anything
they're
that they're
not
not.
dressing up like scary priests and stuff.
I know.
Their Ghost show, I heard it was impressive for a while, but now I saw a recent footage of their stage setup and it just looks like everybody else. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
call it
There you
I
go.
call it Scooby-Doo metal, basically. That's what it kind of reminds me of. It's like all the dreary associations of horror, the stupid haunted house thing. And it's just so dumb. I mean, maybe for about 5 seconds with their very first record, I heard one or two songs when they were on Rise Above Records, Lee Dorian's label. It was passable at best. It was at least okay, it wasn't anything revelatory. It was somewhat novel. But then obviously they decided to go this ultra, ultra, ultra commercial route, and it's just so cringe inducing and embarrassing. And yeah, I'm getting sick of
Yeah,
this. What does he call himself? Papa Emeritus or something like
Memphis. Yeah.
that. It's just dumb. So I'm with you on that one. That's for sure.
All right. Who you got next?
All right, so this is going to be no shocker for anyone who knows me or knows my rants about this band. It's the Foo Fighters. Um, so I don't particularly like Dave Grohl. I know he's called the nicest man in rock. I don't think that a bloke who has cheated on his multiple partners over the years qualifies as being a particularly nice chap, but that's just my opinion. And also, this guy, he started off in the hardcore scene. I think he was even had some affiliation with Discord Records somewhere, and he was okay. And then he joined Scream on their two worst records. I mean, not terrible, but not that impressive. And then he joined Nirvana, as we all know. And then obviously they folded the way that, it was a common story now. We know how Nirvana ended. But then he decided to do this band, the Foo Fighters. And I don't get it. It's kind of like rock music for people who don't really like anything that's too heavy or even rock. It's just sing along, anthemic choruses. It's just kind of YouTube style blandness. Maybe for 5 seconds, the first record had some level of something about it, but ever since then, it's just that awful record. What's that one with is it One by One or something like that? And it's just carried on with these really unremarkable records, and they've just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, much like Oasis, I just don't understand it. I just think they're just so spectacularly bland. There's nothing about them. There's just, you know, oh, they team up with I think the dude from the Roger Taylor's son and is now drumming for them, and Roger Taylor and Brian May seem wowed by them. I don't get it. You've gone from Freddie Mercury to this bloke. So that seems a bit odd to me. So they're so venerated, and I'm baffled by it. Um, so yeah, for that reason, it's the Foo Fighters.
I get it. They were on a on my list of bands I was pondering. Uh, but then I remember there's a couple songs that I liked
Hmm.
on the first album and one on the second album, maybe two. They had a good song on the X-Files soundtrack.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. As they progress, they've gotten worse with each album. Um, and come across to me as kind of cocky about it.
Yes. Yeah. You
Uh,
just hear that dude, that original drummer they had, William Goldsmith, I think he was called from
he's
Sunny
from
Real
Sunny Day
Estate.
Real Estate.
Yeah, and the way that Grohl treated him was absolutely abominable, really. And I was just like, he's got this squeaky clean Mr. Nice Guy persona. I don't buy it for a second. You know, this is a very cynical money-making enterprise, you know, and it just feels very dishonest to
Yeah,
me. And
that's the main thing I don't like about them is they broke up Sunny Day Real Estate. Uh,
yeah,
he had the
yeah,
bass player and the drummer at one point, and they left poor Jeremy Enoch by himself.
sure.
So,
Yeah. He's really talented. He's actually the guy who should be getting somewhere because he's a really good
Sunny
songwriter.
Day Real Estate deserved everything the Foo Fighters got.
Actually, absolutely. But I guess, Nate probably saw where the green was, and he's obviously decided to stick with it, which
Yeah.
is
Is he
prerogative,
still
of
in the
course.
band?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
I think
geez.
he's probably the only original member, well, original quote unquote member of the band. But
Okay.
yeah, fair play to him, I guess, if you just
All
care
right.
about me.
Got to pay
But
the rent somehow.
yeah, I'm afraid to say no. Definitely not for me.
Okay, well, I love Sunny Day Real Estate. So, my next one is we're gonna go the same route, and this is another band. And so, some of these, this band in particular, gets propped up by mainstream heavy metal journalism all the time,
Hmm.
and it's crap. It's just ass kissing record labels or something. 'Cause there's nothing metal about it,
Mm.
even though their name is Baby Metal. And I don't care who stands up for them. I don't care if you're in Trivium. I don't care if you're Rob Zombie. I don't care who you are. If you're defending these guys, you're a cook for the record label. That's all there is to it. Uh,
Yeah.
because it's basically J-pop, K-pop, wherever they're from. I'm not even sure where they're from. Um, with superimposed on top of just like AI. If you told me AI had made all their music, I would totally believe you.
Yeah.
Um, and it probably should.
Yeah.
So I was really embarrassed for the singer of Spirit Box. I think she was on one of their songs.
Oh
I
God.
was embarrassed for her, but just got to pay the rent somehow.
Yes.
Uh,
Hey, there's a band from Japan who did this before Baby Metal. Know what they're called? Ex-Japan. They did this
yeah,
exact thing at least 20, 30 years before them. And I don't have an respect. I mean, they're not my cup of tea, but I kind of have a little bit more respect for them.
but
Um,
I don't think X Japan they didn't have like cheerleaders, did they?
no, no, definitely not. No, I mean, they're an over the top, somewhat. Would you say they're glamorized? They're all over the shop,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And at least there's a bit more variety. It's not cheesy. It doesn't feel creepy. And I'm sorry, these three. There is a side to Japan which I mean I would love to go one day, but there's a slight weird sort of obsession with the schoolgirl thing that I find a little bit creepy. I kind of feel a bit ill watching these three. Well, they're probably a lot older now, but then incredibly young girls doing this sort of thing. It's just embarrassing music.
Marketing is obvious, like it looks
Yeah,
like the most blatant marketing
sure. I mean,
thing, and they're too young to have like slugged it out playing clubs at any point in time.
it's just because
So
they're
it's
cute girls
obvious
who,
put
yeah,
together by some sort of record label. Like there was
sure.
also, although they're not on the list, but there was a band, I forget what they were called, but they dressed up like evil nuns.
Mm.
And it came out that they were totally contrived or put together by a record label, and they look just as legitimate as Baby Metal does, which is not very. Uh,
Yeah. Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, again, oh dear, I don't know. It's just total. tripe, really. And you're right about the AI thing. It does feel, even 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 like what's it called? That K-pop stuff feels more authentic than this. This feels so phony, and yeah, it's just like, yeah, well, this is metal. This is really sort of, isn't it so avant-garde? No, not really. Japan. I mean, these guys have some amazing bands, the Boredoms and KK Null, and all, a lot of really cool hardcore. And you're listening to this crap? Amazing.
There's
So,
even the band Durian Grave, which was pretty good.
sure.
Um, but yeah, and the thing is when talk about these guys, you talk about Ghost.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, well, you're gatekeeping."
Yeah.
Where
No,
that term comes from is I think that people have gotten so entitled that they
yeah,
think that they can just say anything is anything they want, and that makes it true.
sure.
Uh, Genres are very definable by certain sonic traits
Yeah,
they have. That's why we say, well, AC/DC is hard rock and they're not heavy metal. I love AC/DC, but I'm not going
sure.
to call them a metal band because they just don't have the same minor flatted fifths and the minor chords that like Black Sabbath uses.
Yeah.
They're not particularly aggressive.
No.
They're, just certain sonic touchstones that they just don't have, nor do they want to. You
Sure,
know,
and I don't think they would even call themselves that. They love Chuck Berry, for God's
right?
sake. I mean, it's not exactly metal, is it? But that's cool. I like that stuff, you
Yeah.
know. So, yeah, fair play. Cool. Well, talking about heavy metal or quote unquote heavy metal with the next band, God. Again, you're a little bit more forgiving with the glam stuff, which is fine, you know. But Bon Jovi, oh dear, probably just saying their name just brings me out in a rash. I would really have no problem if Bon Jovi split up in like after what was that album, New Jersey. If they had split up after that, I would have said, okay, it's just p like a pop metal version of Bruce Springsteen with a bit of Def Leppard thrown in. I would have really had not that much of a problem. It's not exactly particularly challenging music, but whatever. I would have sort of treated it like I would have that a lot of that stuff from that time, but just the saccharine, crappy ballads that they've been churning out since about 1992 at least. I mean, honestly, always it just actually makes me feel physically ill, and just everything about their presentation, their cheesiness. This is music for, and I don't want to deride Housewives, but it is music for Housewives. There's just no heaviness there whatsoever. It's cheesy. It's really embarrassing. And again, I can understand, much like Whitesnake and much like Def Leppard, there's a fist in the air joyfulness maybe to their 80s stuff, even though I don't like it. But what they've been doing over 30 odd years, I mean, I would struggle that they would have any original fans. It's just horrible, saccharine, sappy rock. And I think Def Leppard have probably gone a similar route too. It's just middle-aged AOR shite, really, and I hate it. I've never liked them. I just find John Bon Jovi really annoying as a person. His, leading the cause, going on and on about how much he loves the Democrats. Okay, whatever, each to their own and all of that. But just as, oh, he's such a great guy. He's been with the same woman since whenever, and all this sappiness. It's just horrible. And yeah, I don't like them at all, as you can probably guess. So I'm afraid it's Bon Jovi, my next choice.
Yeah, every picture I've seen of Bon Jovi now, he looks like he's turning into Randy Travis.
I would
Uh,
even say Frankie Valli.
yeah, it's rough. I mean,
Yeah,
I like Slippery When Wet as a pop album.
sure. Yeah, okay, I understand
I
that.
never took them seriously as a rock band. And back to industry
Yeah.
creations, I heard that the mafia in New Jersey was actually responsible for kind of elevating their career and pressuring record labels to play them.
Oh dear.
Similar, and they did the same thing to Linda Ronstadt, I heard. And no, and Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar for sure. I don't know about Linda Ronstadt, maybe, but I know Pat Benatar for sure
Sinatra had mafia connections as
was
well.
trumped up by the mafia. So, Which, hey, I mean, if that's how you got it, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to say no, are you, if you got
right.
them?
You know, this offer you can't refuse.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're just so, as I say, to me, they kind of belong in that sort of bracket as Bonnie Tyler, as Brian Adams, just really
Yeah, you
sappy.
remind me of Brian Adams a lot. I can see that. What's his name? Richard Marx. Remember that
Oh
guy?
yeah, yeah. Oh God. Didn't he have a mullet as well? I'm sure he
Yeah,
had
of
a.
course.
Of course
How
he
could
did.
you not? Just
And
like Kenny Loggins had a mullet.
you know that if John Bon Jovi was, let's be honest here, ugly, heavily overweight, acne ridden, there's not a chance that band would be getting as far as they did. He was a good-looking guy, and obviously they were going to get far with that element too.
Right.
So. Yeah, just terrible. But I mean, again, I understand why people like the 80s stuff. It's just fist in the air, goofy, a bit of escapism. I get it. But everything they've done since then, good grief.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
totally. I understand. I don't hate Bon Jovi, but I get it.
Yeah, cool.
I can see how it would be easy to. I didn't like when people would refer to them in Poison as metal back in the day, but
Yes, it's hardly possessed, is it?
how it goes. Now, once we're back on industry plants, my next one is Youngblood,
Right,
who
yeah.
I barely knew who he was until that Ozzy concert,
Hmm.
which I'm sure was by design, because you got to think of how many people were watching it.
Yeah.
And, Sharon Osbourne is not going to be above taking a payout from a record label to promote an artist.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So there's that.
I think he's dating her now. I'm sure I heard somewhere that he started
He's
dating
dating
Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon Os-
I think I'm doing his grandson, but hey, whatever, each of their own, right? I'm sure I heard that somewhere. Bizarre that they're
I
both.
mean, if that's the case,
Oh dear. An industry plant would be right.
oh god, if that's the case, I mean, it's totally a press thing because that
Yeah.
guy is as gay as it gets.
That's the rumor. Although I want to state that I have no official evidence. I just heard that as a rumor, just in
Right.
case lawyers are listening somehow. I'm not saying that that's
I
100%
mean, the
true.
lawyers can listen because it would stand up in the court of law that that guy is totally 100% gay. Uh, I mean, I can look at him and tell, and my gaydar only operates at about 2%. So that's
Yeah.
just from all the Morrissey I've listened to. So, I,
Yeah.
yeah,
One thing I'll say about Youngblood, I don't really know his music. I've heard bits and pieces, and yeah, it's rubbish. One thing I like about him though is he's one of the, as you know, I have origins out in Iran, and he's one of the only artists who has stood up for the people of Iran and actually tried to shine the light about what's going on out there. So I'll give him his dues for that, and I
right.
really appreciate that. But his music, yeah, it's total rubbish. I've got no real
Yeah. I
opinion.
mean, I would say too, one thing to consider is remember when people thought George Michael was straight.
Yeah.
Um, People thought Elton John was straight at one point.
Right. Yeah.
How it goes is 2026. Um,
Yeah.
he's really like an Adam Lambert. They just can't sing. He's so
Yeah. Yeah.
so pitchy. There we go. I mean, and you can see once you take the auto tune off of him and just have him out there singing, like how he butchered that Black Sabbath song. That
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people just the studio spoils you.
Yeah. Yeah. Th- there's so many better one-man projects for this kind of thing. You got obviously Nine Inch Nails and Alter and
Right.
Punisher. Why would you listen to Youngblood? It's it's
I
just
mean,
I
you know,
don't get it.
12-year-olds have to listen to something.
Yeah, I guess maybe he's a gateway band. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when I was 12, I was listening to Alice Cooper and Motley Crue and
Oh,
Kiss, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go back to the 80s and oh dear. Erasure. I love the 80s new wave thing like you. I like that sound. I like, a bit of synth pop. No issues with that. But Vince Neil, not Vince Neil, what am I talking about? Vince Clarke. He started his career in Depeche Mode on their worst album, the very weedy Speak and Spell. And then he did Yazoo, who weren't very good with Alison Moyet. And then he did Erasure, and they are absolutely god awful. I mean, really quite. I mean, there's camp and then there's hyper camp. And this is that. This is a duo for those who are listening. Just really cheesy electro pop. I once remember going from Lancaster to Kendal, which is about half an hour in a car, and I think it was my relatives who played their greatest hits. It's 20 songs. And honestly, by the end, I was catatonic. It took a half an hour journey, felt like I'd been traveling for several years. It was horrendous. All the cheesy pop was there, the ABBA covers, there was some time and a little respect. I was absolutely, I couldn't take anymore. I was ready just to hurl myself out of the moving car. It was that grating. Yeah, it's just, again, I have no issues with synth pop. I like some of that stuff, but Erasure just a step too far for me. I could say a similar thing about Pet Shop Boys, but I kind of feel like the Pet Shop Boys are a little bit more serious. They have a bit more artistic merit than just these two goofy geezers. So I'm afraid Erasure for that reason.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for the Pet Shop Boys, so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna speak ill of
yeah,
them. And I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan, but
sure.
I never got into these guys. I could never
Oh,
tell the difference between, like, I remember as a kid, I used to confuse them with New Order for some reason, uh,
yeah.
but they're much poppier.
Much, much poppier. At least with New Order, you had a little bit more angst in places. There's no angst in Erasure. Not 1 ounce of it. Yeah, they're just horrible. I put them in a similar vein to like Jimmy Somerville and Bronski Beat and things like that. And the first Depeche Mode album. It's just the side of synth pop that, I just can't stomach. It's way, way, way too over the top and silly. Some people might even put the first Ministry album in here. It ain't anything like this. That had a moodiness to it, at least. This is no good at all. So I'm afraid, for that reason, I've had to include Erasure.
I would like them better if they sounded like Bronski Beat. I like that guy's falsetto, you know.
Small town boy. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
so there we go. Erasure. I mean, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
They're just, and blandness is a
Oh,
common denominator that a lot of these artists have.
oh
And
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you, I can pick an Erasure song out of a lineup. Um, so
You could just start any Erasure with a song going do 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 do. That's basically what it is.
yeah,
Just turned around a bit, it's a little bit sped up, a little bit slowed down, but do, 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 do. The worst elements, even the Thompson twins sound like they have more grit than this,
right. They're pretty.
Um, but yeah, no good.
Speaking of not a lot of grit,
Mhm.
this
Yep.
is another band that gets commonly mistaken for metal,
Yeah.
but it's actually a boy band. They just have guitars. And that is Linkin Park.
Yeah.
They took the worst elements of hip hop, the worst elements of new metal, and some producers thought it would be good to combine them. And then they kept going. Now they have a female vocalist,
Mm.
which that was a smart move on their part because now they're checking off all the appropriate boxes because you can't criticize them because then you're a misogynist. If you,
Oh, I know. Yeah. How dare you? Yeah.
she does a all right job. She's just boring. So
Yeah.
there we
Well,
go.
she's in the right band then if she's
Yeah,
boring.
Linkin
Um,
Park.
yeah, I mean it really is. I mean, with Linkin Park, I remember when they first came out, and with Korn did a couple of decent records. I like the Deftones, even Cold I didn't mind too much, but it kind of got to a point when, obviously, yeah, silly stuff like Limp Bizkit and then Cold Chamber were a complete joke. But then Linkin Park came in. I was like, hang on a minute, I think I think new metal has officially died right here. And I think it really says something that they teamed up with the world's most boring rapper, Jay-Z, on a record. He is dreadful. His rapping sends me to sleep, honestly. And I think it's kind of appropriate that they teamed up with him on a record. Yeah, I've got nothing to say. You're right. They're a boy band. There's basically not much difference between these and NSYNC. At least
Right.
NSYNC aren't pretending to be anything they're not. They're just doing
And
what
the
they
thing where
do.
if Chester had not died, I don't think that people would have the nostalgic affinity for them that they
No,
do.
no, not at all. Yeah, it's kind of weird actually. I kind of, I know that Chester Bennington had a beef with that dude from Lost Prophets. Um, and yeah, I kind of have a lot of respect for Chester for having that because
Um,
you know how that
you
unfolded.
never know. They could have had an encounter.
Yeah, you never know, man.
They
You never
met on
know.
Grinder or something.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just the worst elements of new metal and just showed that genre had really died a death at that very moment.
All right, well, who you got next?
Right. So, when I brought this woman up, I know that Tom, who does our who works for Ghost Cult, incredibly nice guy, but he really likes this girl. I don't get it. I'm talking about Peaches. When she first came out, I just didn't understand what all the fuss was about. It was just really grotesque, overtly sexual songs. I mean, just the Amtars fatherfucker. I feel cream. I mean, how old are you? And it's just this kind of idea. Oh, well, it's empowering. It's empowering. Well, people were saying the WAP song was empowering. I don't think so. And just in a matter of interest, I don't really like it when guys sing overtly sexual stuff either, just in case there's anyone who's thinking I'm demeaning her experience or whatever the woke thing is now. I think her music's rubbish. It's just electro pop, just not very good. There's another band who do sort of this experimental pop much better, and they're called XU, XIU, if that's how you say it.
Juju.
Them, yeah, they do this style much, much better. And guess what? They don't need to be overtly crude about it either. And they make much, much better music. So I'm afraid to say I just find her really pretentious. I don't get it. You know, I, I'm not into this kind of thing, this overt sexual thing, just stick it in your face. She almost like predated TikTok and social media by about 15 years with this stuff. So yeah, I'm afraid Peach is my final choice.
All right, I can understand that one. I mean, I never took her seriously, and
No.
I just know that teaches of peaches like sex on the beaches, but and the looking at my mama like you want it. That's the only thing I know. Um, I guess that fuck the pain away or whatever.
Oh God.
It's, there are people that just do it better.
Yeah.
I don't mind the overt stuff. You can be, whatever. Just make better music.
Well,
Like
that's it. I
Slater
mean,
gets away with it because she makes better music.
yeah,
Charlie XCX makes better music.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you just know if it was a fella who was making this kind of thing and singing so overtly sexual that he would be.
there is one. There is a bloke that's doing it. His name's
Who's
Sam
that?
Smith.
Oh God. Well, he's just an absolute wally. Yeah, this guy who
He's awkward and shit. But I think he's secretly in sleep token, so I can't say anything too bad about it.
that would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh dear.
Um, yeah, so my last pick is it almost brings us back full circle to Oasis.
Yeah.
Uh, it's Coldplay.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you watered Radiohead down to the point of being non-existent, what their music sounds like. It's
Yeah.
pretty emotional music for a grocery store. And I can't think of anything more boring. So
It's amazing to me. There was a band. I don't know if they really crossed
Another
over
band,
into
and it's the case of another band
it.
that's super huge when other bands deserve that place.
I agree. When it comes to Coldplay, I remember a band, there was a band that predated them. Hey, and they were called The Verve. And it's almost like they took the most boring parts of The Verve. And I like The Verve, by the way, especially the early stuff. But it's like they took all the ambiance and all of that and just how can we dilute it even further? Um, yeah, they're totally unremarkable. Chris Martin's very, very annoying, and his ridiculous former wife as well.
Man,
Uh, he's a complete wally. It's like it's all the pretension of you two and all trying to be so earnest and worthy, but with the most spectacularly banal music imaginable. There's
and
nothing
I
about
love
them.
pretension. You can give me pretension and attitude.
Yeah,
You got to deliver. So
some
that's why
decent music.
Morrissey is unstoppable because
Sure. Yeah.
he is as pretentious as Noel Gallagher and Chris Martin put together, but he can sing better than both of them. So,
And you actually look forward to a release of his as
right.
well. You know, I can't imagine anyone, who's waiting in line on the day of a Coldplay album, or seemingly millions, yeah, great, a new Coldplay album's out. I mean, it's kind of like even it's like the worst accesses of U2, and I'm really surprised. I'm fairly sure Brian Eno's worked with them. He's somehow been hoodwinked.
I can't imagine that anybody under 50 years old listens to them at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's just, yeah, and he's a total celebrity. He was on this show called Extras, which is a Ricky Gervais thing. He made a guest appearance, and it's just like, oh my God, now he's on, now he's trying to act, and it's just like he's everywhere, this guy. Um, yeah,
And
it's
to me, once you
yeah,
cross over into acting, then
yeah,
that's always a clue that you were always tied into entertainment more than music, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, for
I
sure.
mean,
I mean,
there's a few exceptions, few exceptions. I'll say David Bowie's an
I
exception,
was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, Iggy
but
Pop's
Gene
done.
Simmons is not. Gene Simmons was acting and he was, a marketing guy.
Yeah. Well, that's Gene Simmons, isn't it? He is all about the moolah. But yeah, there's only a couple of exceptions with musicians going into acting where you can think, yeah,
Like
it,
Alice Cooper, there was always a part of him that was acting to begin with. So,
sure. Well, absolutely, yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, Coldplay, there's no sense of surprise, there's no sense of anything. It's
but
just
I could say one thing that Coldplay, where I think they should follow Alice Cooper's footsteps, is I think they should be hung on stage. That would be.
I mean, it would certainly liven up the set a bit more. That's for sure. So make it a lot more exciting.
Yeah, they just forget to put in the dummies in their place.
There was a hilarious book actually I saw at the library when I used to work there. There was a book by a Coldplay roadie. His experiences on the road with Coldplay. My
Okay.
I bet that was exciting, with the God, Jesus wept. I mean, it's hardly for better or
Yeah.
worse, Motley Crue, is it? Oh dear.
So
Um,
I think that, yeah, here we go. So next week we're
oh,
going to go over our top five guilty pleasures. So we're going to get back and show some love. So we're not all
doom
grumpy
and gloom.
old guys hating. I think we have some valid arguments here. You guys like and subscribe and all that, and we will see you next week and go over our top five guilty pleasure albums. You there?
Yep, certainly am.
Cool.
Yeah, man.